Hello, my name is Jack Warner. Today I'm going over consumer skills and how it assists with budgeting. This is all part of Winning with Money, my whole Winning with Money course. And the first series of that course is budgeting. The first part that I want to go over is some things that we might experience during our budgeting journey. The very first part is we might find it difficult to get started. This is common. It's natural. Budgeting can be tough, and really it can be exposing. It can expose us of our weaknesses, of poor life choices, of poor financial habits, whatever it might be. If you don't know where to get started and you just happen to be in debt, the first place I recommend to start is budgeting towards paying off that debt, making your monthly payments. It's a great way just to get started, get your feet a little wet in the budgeting process, and then you can start building out to other things that you need to budget. The next point, and this is where I kind of fall into a lot in my budgeting process, we produce this organized budget. We have this beautiful Excel sheet, but then we don't know where we should cut spending, or we don't know how to properly categorize. And this is going to be something we kind of go over in the next two lessons. And in point 3, we find it difficult to save. Yes, we have a budget now, but how do we apply it? So that's going to be something we go over the next two videos as well. When we're budgeting, we need to focus on our essentials versus our desires, or our needs versus wants. So when we think about how we can budget towards financial freedom, the first thing we need to do when we lay out our budget, when we lay out our expenses, is look at what do I need? What do I need first? Because that money, that's mandatory spending. You have to spend money there. So the first section is nutrition. You got to have proper nutrition. So you need your essential foods, make sure you're feeding yourself, you're not starving yourself, but we also don't need the cereals or the extra snacks or the Cokes or whatever else there might be that's not considered essentials. Cut that out. Water, necessary supplements for whatever medical reasons that each individual may encounter. Next thing we need to focus on in our needs category, again, we're just focusing on needs today, or in this slide, shelter and utilities. Got to focus on home payment and rent, depending on if you own your home or if you're currently in a lease. Have to have our electricity for heat and air conditioning and keeping the lights on. Running water, of course, is very important. And for a lot of us, internet and or cellular data for our jobs or for just simple communication is an important part of surviving in today's world. And then the last category for our needs, transportation. And this includes everything from car maintenance, gas, diesel, of course, car payments if you owe on a car, or public transit fees. Just make sure you leave enough funds aside for that. So when we're budgeting, we're focusing on these items first. That's whatever couple $1,000s it might be. We're going to put that to the side. We can predict that cost, these kind of costs. We can almost predict these costs. So we're going to put them in our budget immediately first and focus on those. Any extra money, then we can start focusing on our desires, our wants. Another thing that affects our consumer spending, our consumption mindset, is how we deal with social pressure. So the first thing I recommend for a lot of people is block consumption-based social media. And I feel like social media gets a lot of negative press, and a lot of it is justified. There's some good things about social media. I'm not totally bashing social media. There are some positives that you can get out of it, but most of it is pretty negative because we look at these profiles and people are doing these crazy things, and really it's just a highlight reel. They're buying all these crazy goods, they're going on all these crazy adventures or trips, but we're just seeing the highlights. So if this is you, if you're somebody that falls into this category, that it affects you, seeing other people's social media accounts, block it, turn it off, delete your account, uninstall Instagram. It's important for us to understand how advertising works and how it may affect you. So this is important if you're watching TV, if you're surfing the internet, whatever it might be, and pop-ups come up all over the place, or if you're watching a YouTube clip and you'll constantly get battered with those 5 to 10 second advertisements. See how it's affecting you. Do you click on those? Or does something lure you into a certain area? Are there certain vices that you may have, and then a certain advertisement might trigger something, and you may want to go purchase that thing or partake in that negative habit, whatever it might be? If so, go back to the tip I gave in this first part, block it, block consumption-based social media. Also, get away from it. Get away from that toxic environment, whatever that might be. So it doesn't have to be mainstream advertising, it could be other kind of advertising too. Cancel media subscriptions. Be aware of scams. Email subscriptions are a huge way for companies, well, I wouldn't even call them legitimate companies, but for people, nasty individuals to scam other people. They'll send in all these types of offers, and you click on the link, and then boom, they have access to a lot of your personal information. So make sure you're aware of certain media subscriptions that you might be subscribed to. Definitely scam emails or calls or text messages, whatever it might be, or even in person. Just know what you need to buy and stick to your budget, and that will keep you from getting involved in these scams. And if the things get pretty drastic, sell things that don't bring you joy. They're just taking up space in your mind. They're taking up space in your garage or in your house. Sell them, and that'll help you deal with social pressure in a way because you're not consuming. And then on the top of that, do not buy non-essentials that you know you can go without. A good rule of thumb for going by with this is the 7-day rule. If there's something you see and you're an impulse buyer, and you know you are, and you've watched my other lesson on impulse buying, on psychological habits and behavioral finance, you see something you want and you know you've identified this habit of you purchasing that thing, go 7 days without it. Heck, go 5 days without it. And see if you absolutely want that thing still, then buy it. But odds are you're probably not going to purchase it or think about it again. So simple ways to save to help your budgeting process. So next video, I'm going to show you how to create a budget and certain budgeting strategies. But there are some simple ways to save and help your budgeting process. And so all these are just some of my favorite ways that I've used throughout, but there's hundreds of different ways. And I've seen some creative ways too, strategies of how people save. Eliminate wasteful grocery spending. Meal prep. I can't say it enough. Meal prep before you go to the grocery store. That way you're only purchasing what it was on your ingredients list or what was ever on your shopping list or whatever that might be. Eat at home and cut going out to eat. It'll save you hundreds. And some reports, some studies, some financial studies will argue even thousands of dollars each year. Cancel subscriptions. There's a lot of subscriptions out there, and a lot of us have multiple Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, whatever it might be. We have multiple subscriptions and we're barely getting the value out of them. And this adds up. Cancel subscriptions. Go without TV for a little bit if you can, especially if you're in a dire situation. This also goes for memberships. Cancel subscriptions, cancel memberships too. Gym memberships, if you're not using them, they're not worth it. I think you should work out. I think it's great for you. But if you're not using something, you need to cancel it. Reduce water and power usage. So not only are you saving money, you're helping the environment. Pay for things in cash and ask for a cash discount. So instead of swiping that credit card, which you should cut and get rid of, pay for things in cash and ask for a cash discount. The worst I can say is no. Fast on non-essential spending. So try to go, this is like a trend right now actually, try to go 10 days or 2 weeks without buying anything that's considered non-essential. Snacks, toys, whatever that might be. Use the library for rentals. I love the library and it's free. Most libraries are free. I've never had to pay for anything at a library. Get a library card. If you want to rent a DVD, they have a huge DVD selections. Books too, so that you don't have to worry about buying books. You can rent books for free at the library. You can rent DVDs. Heck, I've seen some libraries, I wish mine did this, you can rent video games for free. Try creative and much cheaper vacation options in your local area. Opt outdoors, go outside, go on a hike, go camping. All that is super affordable, very cheap, and you're saving yourself a ton of money. And plus, I found that a lot of this, trying to be creative, a little bit more memorable vacations rather than flying and go into an all-inclusive. Comparison shop for everything. Whenever you're shopping, I think Walmart even has an app on their sorry, they have an app, but they have a built-in algorithm that will compare all different stores with that same product that you're purchasing, and they'll give you a discount if you could find a better deal. And there's all types of apps that do this for you too, so you don't have to manually do it. Another big thing I'm a fan of is thrift shopping or secondhand markets. These are our friends. The secondhand market is huge right now too, and I know thrift shopping has become a huge trend. Some thrift stores are getting a little pricey actually. So, but you still find good deals. So don't buy any new clothes. Fast fashion is expensive. It's wasteful. If you go into thrift shopping or a thrift store and you go thrift shopping, you can find things almost brand new for a tenth of the cost that you would have bought it brand new. And of course, there's all types of online secondhand stores. You can also join bartering communities to exchange items. So instead of you're trying to save money and you have something that is not really worth much to you anymore, and you know a friend or a family member that has something that you need, see if they're willing to trade. So in conclusion, in desperate times, we got to focus our budget on essentials only. Try to push down our desires and our wants for now and really hone in on that budget so that we can get through whatever desperate situation we might find ourselves in. Another part of doing this is identifying habits that are affected by peers or social pressures and start taking steps to eliminate those bad habits and use common sense ways to assist us in budgeting and spending. There's so much information out there. There's free books, webinars, YouTube, podcasts, articles, countless free resources online that can assist and support us with our financial journeys. Next video, we are going over budgeting strategies. We're going to look at different budgeting strategies and start talking about budgeting tips. See you then.